Okay. Welcome back, everybody. We are talking about market analysis, and now we're going to discuss some key concepts. So, before I even get into the slides, I think the most common thing to know is TAM SAM. So these are again just terms, but it's that is total addressable market, uh, serviceable addressable market, and then serviceable obtainable market. Um, and so, really, what that is just the market size, and the portion of the market that you plan to target. And it's a pretty broad like thing, but it's kind of good to know. I think Mark Cuban recently said like everybody says if I had 1% of the market, I'd be a billionaire. So it's broad. It's not going to really help you that much with your presentations, but it's a good term to know when people throw out TAM SAM. So let's get into it. So market size, again, we kind of just discussed that, but it's what indicates potential revenue. And a larger market doesn't necessarily mean that it's a better market. It's really about what portion of the market you're going to have, right? So the clothing market is obviously huge. People wear clothes every day. But me as a clothing company, if I started one, I'm not going to be competing with Nike, Puma, etc. Um, whereas the I don't know carpet removal service industry is probably more niche, even though it's a smaller market. I'm going to have a greater percentage of it. So really, don't think just in the numbers. Kind of apply it to the business that you're working with. So growth rate. What that just means is, I mean, there's different forms of growth rate, compound annual growth rate, aggregate growth rate, etc. But like, it's just what is the rate usually year over year that this market is growing. So you definitely want to indicate, for example, if you're working with a business and you're saying you should enter this market in your PBC pitch, um, you should indicate that market is going to grow, and that's where the growth rate comes into play. Um, Market maturity. So there's a bunch of different stages of the product life cycle. Um, so that really goes from, I mean, this is like the accepted sort of graph. But the introduction stage is where the product is like first brought to the market. Companies are investing heavily in like advertising and marketing and stuff. Um, then you have this growth stage. So again, more advertising and such because you're differentiating from your competitors. But this is where you're really increasing production and availability. Availability is the key part in the growth stage. And then maturity. So really, what maturity is the most profitable stage. You have high sales volume, declining marketing and production costs, but competition is also peaking at that stage, and so that's what eventually leads to the decline. So it's important to know what stage a product in a market is in, even though these four stages are like quite oversimplified. I think being able to point to, hey, this is what's going to happen in the future, is definitely important in your pitch. Market demand. So again, that's just, do people want the product? And that is usually on like a micro level. Um, yeah, it's just a preference thing, and you want to. I mean, this is important in understanding like how much to produce. So if you're advising in your pitch that this company should increase production, you really want to be looking at like the marginal cost, the marginal revenue of each unit increase of production, and base that off of the demand, to like optimize how much should be produced, if that makes sense. I think there's also a bunch of videos. If you go into the Edgeonomics personal finance course, and you go to the microeconomics section, that will definitely help explain the market demand um, aspect of things. Okay, and then target market. Yeah, again, that's just the market that you are targeting. Actually, I actually want to add on this product life cycle section that there are so many factors that affect the product life cycle. So it's not necessarily always going to just look like this. Um, right? Many products fail in the introduction stage. Many products have a faster sort of competitive entry, like rapid market saturation, volatile consumer preferences, and also the length of the life cycle can increase and decrease. Um, Another thing is just like market adoption, how easy it is to enter the market. Again, going back to that, like, what is it, clothing example. Um, the rate at which innovation is happening in an industry. So many things affect the product life cycle. So don't just generalize it like this. Um, Again, what's going to help you stand out in your pitch is not using just these broad terms, but actually applying it, and not even just using the terms. You don't need to use terms, but really having a solid understanding. Okay, with that, let's talk about some more terms. Segmentation we talked about already, but you segment the market so you can tailor your marketing strategies to each consumer base. Competitive analysis. So this is where you're analyzing the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats to potential competitors, and current ones as well. And also be doing that before you advise a company or a business to enter a new market. You should know, like, you should be doing the SWOT analysis of the businesses there. Customer demographics, again, that's just who is buying your stuff, and then the behaviors, obviously how they select and how they decide to buy your stuff. Okay, psychographics, this is a super interesting thing. It's gaining prominence pretty recently. It falls under like that marketing esque, sort of like consumer segmentation type topic. um, but this is a sort of analysis of like the personality, the like who these people are as people, and how that shapes their desire to purchase something. And so this is very, very important. Like, you should be doing this kind of stuff for like businesses that have huge amounts of like touch points with the consumer, as well as like if customer service is a big aspect of it, then it's important to kind of know this, right? Because like, I don't know, one bad customer service rep or something could literally decrease sales by a huge chunk. Um, and also, if it's like a repeated touch point, then creating customer profiles is often a huge thing that can help a business, especially since this is the PBC. You're going to be working with these local businesses, um, and so I think that's pretty huge. Okay, market share, again, TAM, SAM, SOM. What percent of the market is controlled by your company? Okay, this is a video. We'll skip that. All right. Okay, that is it for market analysis. See you all in the next video.